So, Charles, for a change, you had 90 minutes in the car and an extra set of tyres. It was quite a busy one, wasn't it?
It was really busy. I think it's the busiest FP2 I've ever done, but it was nice. It was fun. I mean, loads of laps, loads of tires. Obviously, the proto tires too that we've tested. So positive day overall. The feeling is good, and having done so many laps in FP2, we recovered a little bit the lack of running we had in FP1.
Now, I know the track's been resurfaced, but quite a few are saying it's quite bumpy. What was it like? What was your experience of it?
I think it was better. Probably we need another step, but it was better for us at least.
And I know it's difficult to read, like you said, proto tyres, don't really know what everyone is doing, but that early read of the car feeling good sets up the weekend nicely?
Yeah, the feeling was good straight away. So this is always a good sign. Now we always need to do a step up from the Friday to the Saturday, but feeling is good. So yeah, I hope we can have a good Saturday.
Carlos, you look really quick out there today. I know direct comparisons are tricky because of testing and various things, but you look good.
Yeah, we were definitely on the pace today. It hasn't been an easy day with the bumps, with the track. It's always challenging here in Austin to have a good balance and to have a good ride over the curbs and bumps. But in general, even if it wasn't the most comfortable car to drive out there, we were quick, which is what counts, and we were on the pace, so not too bad.
In terms of trying to get the weekend off on a really positive note, does it feel like one of the better Fridays maybe and heading into the weekend?
In terms of pure pace, it does. In terms of feeling, not so much. So there's still a bit of work to do on the car for tomorrow, especially FP3, where we need to test a couple of things that we couldn't test in FP2 because of the Pirelli test. No? So yeah, a few things on the checklist for tomorrow.
What are the kind of things you want to be working on overnight?
Basically get myself a bit more comfortable over the bumps, over the curbs, and yeah, get that high-speed section in Sector 1 a bit more together. The rest, I think we were competitive in Sector 3 and Sector 2, so we'll see.
Robert, lots of experience in F1 machinery, lots of mileage, but this was your first FP1 outing. How was it out there for you?
It was awesome, to be honest. It was awesome and hard. Obviously, I haven't driven a car in a while. This year, most of my work was on the sim, which obviously, your body forgets all the feelings. So driving the real car, getting the real bumps, the G-forces was something very, very new. Overall, as it was the first time for me driving this car and in this track, so everything was new. I really didn't know what was where. And yeah, the only target for me mainly was to have the progression, to go step by step, do not do any mistakes, do what Ferrari asked me to do, which we did. And yeah, just always have the progression. I think we had it, so I'm happy about it. Yeah, unfortunately, the last lap where it could be even more better was I had to abort. But yeah, as I said, every lap was nearly like half a second faster, so I was getting better and better and better. And yeah, I feel like if I had another few laps or even 10 laps, I could get very close to the guys in front. But yeah, it's just generally a good experience. Unfortunately, it was very short. I only had 6 push laps, but still every lap counts, and it's very important for me to get the experience.
And this will be useful information for you the next time you get back in the sim. So will this help with the development of the 2023 car?
Of course, that was also one of our targets, is to let me drive the real car so I can give a proper feedback to the sim guys, which I'm gonna do. I think sim overall is pretty good. From my comparison, feels really good, similar. Obviously, it's a few things to improve, to work on, but yeah, I feel quite confident and quite good in that it's quite there.
But like you said, you haven't been in a racing car for a long time, so it must be slightly bittersweet that you now go back to the sim. It must have reignited your fire to get back in a racing car.
Yes, of course. I mean, with all the situation, anyways, the target is to get racing. I really would like to go race. Driving in F1 car, it feels awesome, even if it's just a few laps, but still, it's amazing. The work on the sim, obviously, now I'm going to be a bit more hyped to work, so it's also a positive thing. And yeah, we have another one coming in Abu Dhabi where I feel more confident because I already know the track, and I think also by having few laps on the car, I would already know what to expect. So yeah, I think that the Abu Dhabi should be even better, an improvement, which let's see how it's going to go. But yeah, I'm really looking forward for that FP, and let's see what's going to happen.
So Max, I know it's a little bit of a different day today with the tyre testing, so how did it all go for you?
FP1 I think was quite good. We tried a few things with the car, and I think immediately we were there, so that was very positive. And then of course we knew FP2 was going to be different, and also they gave me the C1 tire, which we are not even using here. So it was very hard and a bit difficult to get a proper read on it, but at least we completed the program.
How much of a setback is that kind of heading into the weekend, that lack of getting the rhythm on the compounds and just getting used to things?
It's the same for everyone. I mean, we have a bit of information from FP1, and I think the car was already in quite a decent window.
Optimistically wise, are you looking at the weekend thinking the car should be strong around here?
Should be all right, but let's see tomorrow, first of all, how we are over one lap. And I think the long run is a little bit more of a question mark, I think just because we all missed FP2, but I think it's going to be okay.
Now, I know you don't often do track walks, but you did one around here. How was that, and why was it quite important to do it here?
No, I just wanted to see the bumps because they said they resurfaced a little bit in some areas, so that's why I wanted to go for a walk. And also, after eating quite a few steaks, it's good to have a little bit of a walk.
Hey, Checo, it was a bit of a different day out there with the tyre test and the prototypes. How did you kind of learn from the car today?
Yeah, well, I think we managed to get a good FP1, good information. We test few bits across cars. So hopefully for tomorrow, with the short session, we will be able to get everything right and be able to have a strong quali, because given that we have a penalty, we need a good quali to be able to start as forward as possible.
I know not ideal with the penalty, but did the car feel pretty good? And this is a track where you can overtake, isn't it? So you can make progress.
Yeah, I believe we can be all right. It will be very important that we have a strong pace through the weekend.
What are the kind of areas you want to work on overnight to set yourself up?
I think we have a bit of balance with the high speed versus the low speed, so I think we need to improve a bit the balance to be able to improve the gradation, and everything will come together.
Tyre testing. Let's cover that first. How difficult is it as a driver to get in to not know what the compound is, what it is they're looking for, exactly what you're running and why?
It's actually not that bad. It's just all about feel. It's quite a fun experiment, to be honest, just to kind of get out there. You don't know what to expect. And there's always just a different balance. The tyres reacting in so many different ways each time you go out when you're trying something new. So sometimes the front tyres are stronger, sometimes they're, and it could be in the low speed corners, it could be on an initial turn-in, or it could be mid-corner, it could be on traction, it could be in high speed support. Like it's interesting. So you're just trying to get into the groove and then try and feel it and try and feel kind of what the difference is, and then trying to store what those differences are. So when you come in, you have to jot them all down. And then when you're doing a blind test, you hope that your feeling is right. But yeah, you just have to say how you feel.
What percentage are you sort of pushing? I guess you can't go out there and just give it 100%. As you say, you're feeling your way around, trying to determine exactly how that tyre's going to react.
Yeah, I would say with previous year's cars, the car, like my car from last year, for example, was much more predictable. So for that one, you could go out and you could just push and then see how it goes. As well, this car, you have to really build up to it. And also this year, we're doing the tire blankets at 50 degrees, so you couldn't just go out and push because the tires weren't there. So you had to just build up, and just trying your luck.
Let's get to the actual running that's important for this weekend. How was it for you guys? Anything that didn't necessarily go to plan, or are you pretty happy with the day?
No, everything went to plan, and firstly, I'm super grateful to all everyone back at the factory for working so hard and bringing us an upgrade this weekend. It's been a tough year for everyone at the factory, and for them to continuously be pushing and keeping their heads down and really pulling out these new pieces, I'm super grateful. And I kept the car in one piece today, which is good, just about, and definitely felt improvements in the car. So obviously this session was a bit of a wasteful session in terms of feeling performance, but P1 was feeling quite good, and I'm hoping we make some changes tonight, and we'll find out tomorrow exactly where we stand. But doesn't feel like we're too far away from everybody.
We know this track is notoriously bumpy at the best of times, and with the cars being so stiffly sprung this year, we've seen problems in other places. How was it in the cockpit?
Horrible. Oh my God, man! Jeez. I came here after Montreal and I drove last year's car, and it was so good. And I remember getting out just beaming from ear to from ear to ear, because it was so smooth and yeah, good downforce, good power. This year, obviously, we lost a bit of power with the biofuels, and then and then the car is so stiff. And then now we come and drive with this car. You just luckily I don't actually have like many feelings, because if I did, they would have all come out this year for sure. It's just so bumpy. I'm really praying for not a bumpy car next year.
Let's start with tyre testing. Obviously, you have no idea what you're going out to test. So how do you approach it, and how hard do you push, and how many risks can you take when you're doing it?
I mean, it's sort of here to try and learn what we're going to be getting for next year. I think everyone was on slightly different compounds. We were on the C1 compound, which is obviously a step harder than what we're running, than the hardest tyre that we're running this race weekend. So naturally it feels a little bit more tricky. Not a lot more to say than that. Obviously a bit of a unique, strange FP2, and let's see what we took away from that.
Let's listen about what you took away from the meaningful running for this weekend. Obviously some upgrades on the car. How have they worked? How confident are you going into the rest of the weekend?
I think it worked okay, to be honest. FP1 was a bit of an odd session for everybody as well. There was a few teams who were looking very fast, a little bit unexpectedly. Some other teams who probably weren't as quick as we probably would have thought. And obviously having semi-missed FP2 because we were all running our own programs, we don't really know what the pecking order is. So far the car's feeling quite strong, which is promising. I think you always get an inkling very early on in the day if it's going to be a good weekend or a tough weekend. We're midway. It feels like it's definitely not the worst the car's been, but as I said, we don't know what Red Bull and Ferrari are going to do when they turn up tomorrow.
We always hear you guys saying you can only focus on yourselves and just be completely single-minded in that. But as you've said, you don't know where you are in the pecking order. So how much do you look at what everyone else is doing, and how much do you just focus on yourselves?
Yeah, I think we always take a view at what people are doing, seeing what downforce level they're on, looking at sort of the tyre preparation they do to see if we can learn anything from that. But equally, we will always have our own problems that we need to resolve. But it's always interesting if there's a team that look outstandingly quick. I think Aston Martin were very fast in FP1. And if there's anything we can learn from that, then maybe that gives us a small direction. And equally, if a team, Red Bull didn't look as fast as they normally are, we might try and learn if they did something different that was probably hindering their performance. So, you've always got to keep your eyes open.
So given that obviously FP2 was a bit of a strange one, FP1 as well was a slightly interesting order. Is it a bit of a head scratcher tonight, or do you think you've got an idea on the direction you need for tomorrow?
I think we'll be okay. I think we should hopefully be in Q3 and fighting, for those top 6 positions. I'd like to think that we'll be ahead of the midfield cars this weekend, but I've learned in this sport to take nothing for granted. So, we're going to work as hard as we can overnight, try and make sure we've got a fast car. Pole is always a stretch for us, but, the race on Sunday, so I think we've got half a chance.
Great performance out there. How was your first FP1 experience?
Yeah, it was awesome. Had so much fun, learned a lot, and the session was quite a lot shorter than when I'm looking from home. So it was just a fun experience. I think I was really privileged to had run with the previous car before. Came here. The new cars are really, really awesome. I think this is a proper track for F1 as well. So super happy with our performance, everything I learned, and hopefully we can help a little bit more the team with everything that we collected. I'll be watching and cheering for them during this weekend.
Now, as you mentioned, you have driven the 2021 car. How did it compare with the 2022 car?
I mean, it's tough to ask me because I come from a totally different car. So for me, they are really, really close. There are some differences for sure, but I found that they are both amazing. I had the feeling that this car was a little bit better in some areas, a little bit worse on others, but still, it's a Formula 1 car.
Now, Oscar Piastri has obviously been signed up by McLaren for 2023. So was this just a taster, or has this now fueled your fire to actually make F1 a serious goal for you in the future?
Oh no, the plan was to get the experience, try and prepare us for the FP1. They obviously needed 2 drivers to do FP1, and us here and Paro in Abu Dhabi. So it was just to get ready. Obviously, it's a present for me. As a person, it was a dream of mine. So we'll just embrace everything that we have left this weekend, and we'll be waiting.
Daniel, so I know you missed out on FP1, but you got an extra set of tyres in FP2. How was it?
Yeah, it was. I feel like I'm more exhausted today. It's like did nothing till 5 p.m. and then it was like literally went out for 90 minutes straight, pretty much. So did what did we do? 40 laps. So getting close to a race distance. But it was cool. It was good just to get back out here. It's such a fun track. Pretty different this year with these cars. Bit of a handful. Even though they've resurfaced, like some parts, it's just, the cars throw you around a bit more. But a bit of work tonight we'll do. It's hard to know where we stuck up with like everyone on kind of different programs then, but felt all right in the car. So, it's good. It's good.
Talking about different, I know the car felt a little bit unstable, but that's cool, right? Like quite fun to drive around
yeah. No, I'm not like complaining. I would say it's just like different challenges with these cars this year, even like visibility, because there's so many kind of long like blind corners on this track. Even like turn 1, it was already pretty hard to like spot the apex, and this year with the cars, how we sit lower and you got the guard over the wheel, it's just you kind of like a few times I'll turn in, I was like, I'm about to hit the curve, so I'll turn back out, and just trying to dial in some new references.
And did you have a chat with Alex after his session this morning, and what was kind of feedback on that score?
Yeah, well, they don't let us talk. Obviously, like Alex Albon's and Williams, so like we can't talk across it. Hey. Yes, mate, he was stoked. He was really enthusiastic. I mean, as expected, like first FP1. I remember the feeling, and it's all just excitement. But he was good. He got up to speed well, and he seemed comfortable and ready for it. So he was just like really appreciative to everyone, obviously giving him the chance, and it was cool. Gave me a little bit of time off.
Lando, I know it was a little bit of a different day today with the prototype testing in the afternoon, but what did you learn from the car, and how did it feel early doors?
What was it like? It was a reasonable day, nothing special. Bumpy. That's one definite thing I can say is bumpy. So I think we've got a direction to go in. I guess everyone's in the same boat at FP2. We couldn't really try too many things. So we know what direction we want to go in after what we found out in FP1, but FP3 is the first time to really understand those things and to get a feeling for it. So we'll wait for tomorrow. We'll try and do as much analysis as we can tonight and see what we can do.
How tricky is it when the track is that bumpy?
I mean, it is very difficult, especially when you have a lot of tire degradation at the same time, when it's very windy like it was today. It just makes it inconsistent, so easy to make mistakes. You push it just that little bit more, and then you're easily over the limit. So it's just hard to find that limit to really push at, and it gives you a bad headache. I've had a bad headache all day, so it's live. It's the same for everyone, so we'll deal with it.
So Mick, P5 in FP2. You take that for qualifying, I assume, but how is your day?
Yeah, obviously great to be back. Obviously we have a special livery out on this track today and also the whole weekend. So, driving in front of the home crowd is definitely nice. Performance was there, but obviously you never know how what is happening, what compounds are the other drivers using, and what fuel loads. So no, we'll take it we'll take it gladly, but I don't think that's kind of possible for us tomorrow. Nonetheless, we have still some work to do, and hopefully, we'll be able to qualify in the top 10 tomorrow to then have a good race in the Sunday race.
Obviously, the tyres were a mystery, but did you get a general sense of how they were performing?
Yeah, I mean, we got an idea of it. Obviously, we saw the difference in lap time between the people who didn't use the prototypes, and it was quite big. So interesting to see that. Nonetheless, the tyre behaved pretty well, and it'll be interesting to see what we can do with them.
Little gap now since your last FP3, I believe it was back in Zandvoort. Do you think you've got an Q3 car? Do you think you've got a Q3 car for tomorrow?
Yeah, I mean, we'll see, but obviously I think that our car seems to perform on this track. If we get everything in the right window, have a bit of luck tomorrow, I'm sure we can make it into Q3.
So, Antonio, just 4 laps. Can you just describe what happened in the crash?
Yeah, I think 1.5. Yeah, one or few corners. Yeah, unfortunately, no, I wasn't pushing, and there was a lot of gusts of wind, and yeah, I lost the car. Unfortunately, I stuck in the barriers there, and then I burned the clutch to go out, and unfortunately, the session was over.
Has the team provided you with any information about what they're going to need to the car to get it ready for FP2?
So far, what I know, it was only the clutch. Of course, as a big sorry to the team for what happening, but yeah, you know, it's racing, and sometimes it's happening.
Let's look forward. Talk to me about your 2023 plans. Are they coming into focus a little bit? Do you know more about what you'll be doing?
I don't know yet. We'll see what will happen. You know, it's only 4 races left, so yeah, let's see what happens.
So, Kevin, you lent your car out earlier today, and Antonio Giovinazzi had a little prang with it. How much work was involved in getting the car back and ready for FP2?
Yeah, there was some work. A few parts got damaged, but you know, these things can happen. It was tricky conditions out there today, very windy and tailwind in those high-speed corners in Sector 1. So, you know, I can see why you could lose it there.
You've not been here for a year. How quickly did you manage to get dialed back into the circuit?
Yeah, I feel like it was fairly normal, I guess. It's different with these cars because they're so stiff, and the last cars I drove here was, you know, the older generation, and they were much kind of softer, and all these bumps. It is a bumpy track, so you feel it so much more with these cars, and you know, it can sort of make the car snap in a couple of places, and you know, I would say it's actually a little more difficult to drive now.
And we also obviously had the Pirelli tyre test. Did you get any sense of how those tyres were performing, even if you didn't know what compounds you were on at a particular moment?
Very difficult for me because I didn't drive the current year tyres in FP1, so I don't have any reference. I can only say they felt pretty normal.
Yeah, and just finally looking ahead to tomorrow, what kind of car do you think you can get dialed in for qualifying?
Yeah, I think it's about trying to find a good compromise with the wind, first of all, you know, because there's Sector 1 and kind of half of Sector 2, which is tailwind, and then the rest of the track is kind of headwind. So the balance between these two parts of the track is very, very different, and it's only going to get worse, I think. More stronger wind tomorrow and on Sunday from the same direction. So that's gonna be part of the you know, process, and we'll see.
Fernando, let's start with FP2. Bit of tyre testing going on for everybody. How tricky is it going in there not knowing what the tyres are, how to push, or whether to push, where to push?
Yeah, it was. I mean, a little bit a different session than normal. Also, you cannot touch the car. You have to keep the same setup for the whole FP2. So whatever balance you get on the first round, you have to keep for the remaining of the session. So it was interesting to try and to have a first feel of next year's tires. And let's hope to understand it better.
I was going to ask you how hard you were pushing during FP2, but I think it was obvious from FP1 and FP2 that you weren't leaving a lot on the table.
No, I'm having fun. This is a fun track. And yeah, in FP2, the tire blanket is reduced for next year. It's 50 degrees only, so a lot of warm-up issues, a lot of sliding, and it was fun.
It looked like it, all arms and elbows around here. How hooked up is the car? How confident do you feel in it, even after just that one FP1 run?
Relatively confident. I think the car was good in FP1. I'm not sure if this is one of our best tracks, to be honest. We felt that we're missing a little bit, especially in the slow speed corners. So there are a couple of ideas now tonight to change things on the car. So tomorrow morning I'm curious to see if we solve some of those problems.
Given that you lost FP2 for any meaningful running, how critical will FP3 be?
It's going to be important, yes. And also, yeah, we're still debating if we will change engine on my car here or in Mexico. So if that happens here, obviously FP3 will be even more important.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess then either for this weekend or for next weekend could have huge ramifications in the fight with McLaren.
Yeah, it's going to have an impact for sure. But yeah, I think it has to happen, unfortunately. So we will try to make it on the most efficient we can, and yeah, still aiming for points every Sunday in the remaining races. So it should be enough to keep McLaren behind.
Esteban, let's start with FP2 and tyre testing. Obviously, Pirelli give you the tyres, they give you a run plan. How tough is that, going out and not knowing what tyres you're on, what to expect from them, how they're going to react?
To be honest, it is quite difficult because obviously we maximize P1 and what we know with the tyres we have to prep the weekend, but we are going into a complete unknown really with that tyre test. So we try still to understand a few things from the car, but the setup is fixed. So it is interesting for next year, obviously, that to test these tyres, but not really for the rest of the weekend. So it was just about doing some laps, getting a feel for the track, for how bumpy it is. And we were still able to try a few things, from P1 to P2, but not during P2.
So, FP1, let's go back to that. How was the car? Anything you weren't particularly happy with? Anything you need to work on for tomorrow?
Yeah, I think not too bad, to be honest. I think the potential is there. Obviously, for us to be in Q3 again this weekend, that's going to be the aim. The track is very bumpy, so something to look out for. It's a big difference compared to Suzuka, where it was just pure smooth the whole way. So a little bit more of a compromise to do there. We have a bit of work, obviously, for us tomorrow, but we should be good.
How tough is it out there with the bumps? As you say, obviously very stiffly sprung cars this year. We know this track is bumpy anyway. Curbs take a bit of a hammering as well, or the car takes a hammering over the curbs, and there's the wind as well.
Yeah, it was very windy, but it's going to stay similar with all the days and the consistency and the wind direction in general. So, there's not going to be any surprises in that direction tomorrow. But I look forward to win quali, get back the tires from this year, and do some proper work.
Nice. The fight with McLaren obviously is the headline for you guys for the remaining 4 races of the season. Do you have any idea where you guys might be compared to them after that FP1?
We're going to be quite close, I think. I think I saw Lando obviously in the top 10. Daniel was quite quick, obviously, in P2, but we don't know because he had the tires from last year, from this year, sorry. So I think it's going to be a close fight. Obviously, we are going to try and maximize ourselves first, and see where we end up.
So Logan, obviously, blue skies, what a special day. FP1 debut on home soil, but how happy were you with your performance?
Yeah, I think the main goal coming into today was just to learn as much as possible, and I feel like I did pick up on a lot. Very different to what I honestly expected, but in a good way. A lot of potential to still pick up on and improve on, but I think it was a good start, and I'm happy with how it went.
You're obviously building towards what could be a crucial F2 round in Abu Dhabi. When are we going to know more about your 2023 plans? How is that beginning to take shape?
Honestly, I'm not sure. As you know, I need to have a good Abu Dhabi to secure my super license. And, that's the main focus at the moment. And it's to go out there and have a good round, solidify myself in the top 3 in the championship.
Alex, let's start with FP2. Obviously, kind of running blind into a tyre test, not knowing what compound you're running, and having a very prescribed run plan given to you. How tough is that as a driver?
It's a strange one because we never do 3 push in a row in low fuel because the tyres can't do that. And in the long run, of course, in some respects it's quite cool because no one can actually hide their fuel loads. Everyone's kind of on the same thing. But at the other side of it, it's tricky because we don't drive what we've driven this year. It's very hard for us to actually give constructive feedback because we haven't driven the tyres from let's say FP1. But they're okay. It's very different out there. The grip's less. I think you can see the lap time differences between the guys who were running this year's tyres to the dev tyres. There's a big. It's slower. It feels like you're sliding around a little bit, but also, as you said, we're a little bit blind. So good for Pirelli. Hopefully they'll use that data and come back with a good tyre.
So the one representative session was this morning. How did it go for you?
All right, actually, surprisingly okay. We were 13th on the timesheets, and there was a little bit more time there. There was definitely some more time there. So. It's tricky. It's very windy out here, and the wind's only going to get worse during the weekend. So, we're expecting, I think, 60 km/h gusts at some points, and that doesn't tend to suit our car too much. So, we'll need to improvise, and there are definitely some things we need to change from today into tomorrow, just to be obviously more competitive. It really seems like Sector 3 is our killer right now. So, we'll go and do some homework and fix that.
How are the bumps? How are the curbs? Because it's notorious.
It is. The cars are obviously worse on bumps than previous years. But generally speaking, Sector 1, they've done a good job with. Sector 2 and 3, there's a lot more of that old school tarmac, which you feel much more. But it's okay. You know, actually, in some respects, I think it gives it character. It's nice to sometimes drive tracks that have these kind of, you know, big bumps, and you got to think about your driving. You can't just, you know, brake in the normal places. You have to move around a little bit with your lines to try and avoid some bumps. So I prefer that to, you know, ice rink driving.
FP2, tyre testing, difficult light. How was it?
Yeah, probably the strangest Friday I've had as a Formula One driver. I mean, I guess it's my first time missing FP1, so I mean that was something new, but I don't think that was, let's say, anything that a lot of drivers haven't experienced before. But obviously then having the only session doing today being the tire test, so driving on tires that, we're not racing on this weekend. I didn't use any of the tires that we are going to be racing on, so I just used the tire test tires, let's say. So not only that, but then the sequence of how you do the run plan, because it's obviously prescribed from Pirelli with your just push, which, you know, normally is always just cool down laps to try and get the most out of them. So it was very strange. Tires not offering a lot of grip out there, but we were on very hard compounds, harder than we're going to be racing on. So it was a strange day. So I guess the only thing I could take from today is just the kind of getting in the rhythm of the track and whatnot. But it's going to feel very different tomorrow when we're back on the real tires.
How strange is it that your weekend doesn't really start until tomorrow morning?
Yeah, it's definitely not ideal, but that's how it is, and we just got to try and maximize and try and take whatever little things we can from today, which, to be honest, is not much, and just try and be as start off as strong as we can in FP3 and maximize the few laps we're going to have.
From the feedback that the guys gave from FP1, where have you heard you may be in the general sort of pecking order?
I guess it's tricky to say. I mean, obviously, I can only go off, let's say, the most consistent reference in the team, which is Alex, obviously driving an FP1. So, I mean, it's tricky because you never know what everyone's doing in FP1. It didn't look too bad for him in FP1, so hopefully that's something we can shoot for. We're always targeting to be at least into Q2. But it'll be tricky because it's only going to get windier tomorrow. We know it's not going to suit our car. It's supposed to be very hot across the whole weekend. So, again, managing the tires, we know we're already down on downforce. It could be very tricky in the race. But, we'll hope to try and, let's say, overperform the baseline package we have.
So, Teo, how was it out there? It must have been pretty exciting to get behind the wheel of a Formula One car.
It was amazing. Best hour of my life. So, yeah, amazing track. I was discovering this track and the car as well. Wow. It's, a lot of emotions right now. So happy, and I'm happy to help the team as well to work. They did some tests, and it's all good. So everyone is happy. So it's a good start of the weekend. Yeah.
I know it's only a short period of time in the car, but how much did you manage to learn out there?
Yeah, it was a good session. We did quite a lot of laps. There was a red flag at the beginning, so it compromises a bit the start of the session. But yeah, all good. Good laps, did some mistakes. I've tried to push the limits and I tried to understand some things, all the settings on the steering wheel. I come from F2. It's a lot different, but it's good experience for the future.
And what's the early feedback been like from the team?
It's amazing. Much more people, much more interviews as well. But it's good, it feels amazing. I'm just happy to be here. I try to enjoy every minute, and to learn as many things as possible as well.
So, Joe, that was your first experience of the Circuit of the Americas. How was your Friday?
Very bumpy ride, bumpy day, and I don't know how the old track is, but obviously for me, I think it's one of the bumpiest I ever felt driving it. But nevertheless, it still felt a nice layout, a lot of different type of speed corners, so it's good fun out there. And obviously FP2 was a bit limited with the tire test, but. First session, we felt good, and I felt quite good on the car straight away. So hopefully have a nice quali tomorrow.
Speaking of the tyre test, did you get any sort of sense of how the 2023 tyres were behaving?
Yeah, I mean, we don't have much information before we jump in the car. There will be no information given, so we don't know what kind of tyre we are used. All we can know is the difference or the feedback on the compound. But in general, I think I felt quite similar to before. The only biggest difference is let's say the beginning of when you have lower tire blanket, it seems to be quite tricky lap one, the performance. But hopefully I feel like still needs some some more step in terms of to be ready, having no plan kit for 2024.
And just looking ahead to tomorrow, what would you be happy with from qualifying? Is this a Q2 weekend? Is this a weekend where you could shoot for Q3, do you think?
I mean, I think Q2 will be always the basic aim. We try to go through that and think, we're capable to do so in Suzuka, Singapore. Hopefully keep that momentum here. And then, Q3, of course, is always quite tight. It depends how good your lap is. And hopefully, everything's working with the new package, and then we can have a decent shot. But nevertheless, always having 5-place grid pennant for Sunday. So will be a difficult one, challenge from the back, but we give it our best.
So Valtteri, P2 and FP2, so that'll be front row start tomorrow. That's what we're aiming for.
Well, it's a bit special today with the Pirelli tyre test, and obviously because I didn't drive in the first session, so that meant that I could still do a couple of runs setting up the car in the beginning, so different to the Pirelli program, and I completed that program afterwards, so then the lap times, they're not really representative, but actually today the day felt good. I mean, just one session for me, but immediately car didn't feel too bad, and we still didn't have the upgrades. We're going to have them tomorrow, so let's see.
And then in terms of the tyres that you tested, did you manage to get a sense of where they're better, where they're worse?
They did feel different. I think the biggest difference for me was the feeling with the low pressure. The minimum pressure is significantly lower in the first lap, especially when the tyres are still warming up. So you feel that they're moving a bit more, especially the front tyre. But apart from that, actually pretty similar feeling. On this track, I didn't feel an issue with the lower blankets, but some other tracks it could be an issue.
Okay, so front row might be a bit of a stretch tomorrow, but what are your hopes for where you can get this car to overnight?
We definitely can find improvements, and we still have the upgrade to fit into the car tomorrow. So, and based on the feeling I had today, I think we need to be in top 10 here in the qualifying, and I think that is realistic.
Car up on stands fairly early after FP2. Do you feel ready for tomorrow and Sunday?
I would have liked to carry it on, but obviously we did what we had to do for Pirelli, and then that was it. So I think it was for the afternoon, not that much to learn for the weekend, but still useful in the car to try different lines and get a bit more time on the track. So it's a nice track, so it's nice to get some extra laps.
How do the tyres feel in terms of the balance of the car? Did it change the balance of the car much?
A little bit, mostly because we start with lower blankets. The warm-up is quite poor, so it takes quite a while. That was the biggest difference. Then I had the hardest compound, so it was quite slippery and a bit slower. But yeah.
And looking at FP1, what was the run plan there? Did you have more long runs in FP1?
We wanted to focus on the long run, so we wanted to get out early, and probably didn't catch the track when it was just getting faster. But I think we got the answers that we wanted today, so hopefully we can take it into tomorrow, improve the car, and show a good pace.
What will you be looking at overnight before tomorrow?
Some stuff with the setup, how we balance the car, especially through the S's. With the tailwind that we're facing this weekend, it's not an easy section. So that will be key to try and find the right compromise, and then we see if we manage to do so.
Well, Lance, it looked like it was quite good out of the box in FP1 today. Did it feel good on track?
Yeah, it felt pretty good. Still just practice, though, so we'll see tomorrow.
FP1 more important here, perhaps, than any other race because of the sort of lack of meaningful running in FP2. Does that give you confidence having a good result in FP1?
Still got FP3, so we'll see how we go in FP3 and then have a better idea where we're at.
And talk about long runs and fast pace as well. The loss of time in FP2, does it make it tricky setting up for the race and setting up for qualifying?
Everyone's in the same boat, so should be all right.
Did you put more long runs into FP1? Was there a change of plan for the weekend?
We did a bit of both in FP1, just kind of, working with the time we have, so see how we go tomorrow.
A little late coming out in FP2, the car up on stands. Was there any issues getting
Yeah,
ready?
we just had a few things we had to get ready, but nothing major. We still did what we had to do.
Cool. And where do you see the areas for improvement going into Sunday?
We just got to work on the balance a little bit and try and find some more speed in the car.
Okay, Yuki, let's start with FP2. How did you find the Pirelli test session?
Yeah, I think was the kind of greatest. Yeah, normal. I would say. I experienced kind of slightly different characteristic tires compared to this year's tires, and it was good experience for the future. And yeah, basically the tires brackets went down to 50 degrees temperature, and that made it first kind of outlap. Maybe it's made it more trickier, but yeah, I think these are the kind of things that we're gonna face on next year. So it was good, kind of warm up, and yeah, kind of for me it was extra exhibition session rather than carry on from the FP1. Yeah.
You said the characteristics were different. How were they different to your test today in FP1?
Each tire was different. I would say I tested 2 tires and both are kind of different. So I couldn't say specifically, but I would say, yeah, I think outlap mainly was a big kind of change compared to this year's tire. Yeah.
How does the balance feel here in the car today?
Yeah, I think we tested as a team quite big one in the FP1, and I think that works well. That at least made it clearly. So yeah, definitely ready for tomorrow. I think just there's details on the table. Just have to put it all together from my side, and also yeah, FP3 have to adapt quickly more, and hopefully we can go to Q3. Yeah.
Do you feel like that reduced time, having lost a bit of time in FP2, has made it harder to prepare for the race than qualifying?
Well, everyone is same, so it's all good. Yeah.
Well, Pierre, I'll start with FP2. A little bit different on the tyres today. Was it a hindrance to you, do you think, having the extra time on the tyres in terms of getting ready for the race?
I am not gonna lie. I think we finished half an hour before, so we had like a kind of strict program from Pirelli. We could not really add any laps. So no, we did what Pirelli wanted us to do. I think now we need to obviously like review with them exactly what were the difference, and in terms of feeling, there were positives and negatives. So we need just usual work on the tires. But yeah, it was mainly for Pirelli.
Yeah. Do you look at that, like your pace on the test tire was actually quite good compared to other people? I suppose you're about in the normal place on the timesheet, but you had 3 drivers running 2022 tires. Does that give you some confidence, or is it really just a Pirelli test?
Well, yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I haven't really looked at the performance because I know some guys at harder compounds, some other guys at softer compounds. So we don't get all the information from Pirelli. So yeah, I'm more looking at it with perspective and not really going so much into details for now. But let's say on our side, it was a productive test.
And FP1, was it productive in terms of looking at race pace, looking at short runs?
I mean, on paper, we expected to struggle on this track. And not gonna lie, P1 performance and speed was pretty good. So we were within the top 10. Obviously, a couple of guys didn't drive, Charles, Daniel. But so far, I must say the feeling with the car has been better than the last couple of weekends. So don't fully know why, but we'll take that. Hopefully tomorrow we can make another step forward. I don't want to change the car too much because the initial feeling is pretty good. Just fine tunings, and yeah, hopefully we can fight for the top 10 tomorrow.
You said you were struggling with the rears on the radio in FP2.
Yeah.
Was that just an issue with the Pirelli test tyres, or was that an issue you had in FP1
no,
as well?
A bit similar in FP1. There are very specific places where I wanna improve the car. So it's not so much general, but there are like 2-3 corners where I feel I should be able to extract a bit more from the car, and at the moment I can't, whether it's with the mappings or setup. So we'll just fine tune that, and hopefully we can gain 1 or 2 tenths. It's very tight in that midfield, so hopefully we can get this 1 or 2 tenths that will bring us to the top 10 again tomorrow.